Howdy y'all, I picked up this clear Game Boy Color when I was in Japan in 2023, and as soon as I got back from my trip I opened it up and cleaned it with the intent of eventually retrobriting it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So I think it's about time I get to it. Now it doesn't look that bad here on camera, but in person this is definitely a lot more yellow than it should be, and it's a lot more yellow than the stock version. So hopefully by using the rig that I've used before, I can get this back to its original color. Hopefully we can reuse this adhesive. My plan is to leave it in for basically 2 days. Make sure to wear gloves while doing this, because that's very important. I got the device retrobrited, and it's looking much better. So let's begin the reassembly process. Now that I think about it, I think I've had this Game Boy disassembled for over 2 years now. I have such a backlog on my projects. And I can't remember what I did with the screen, but I know it was kind of toast. So I'm just gonna take the screen from this yellow Game Boy I have. We'll use whichever one of these is better. Gotta be very careful not to damage the screen or anything. Okay, there we go. And I already got my grubby fingers on it, so let me wipe that down. All right, out of these two, which one looks better? They're both kind of scratched, but I think the one that came with it is a little bit better. And the adhesive is actually keeping it on pretty well. You know, now that I think about it, I don't think this is the original speaker. Yeah, that seems more like it. So I have the incorrect speaker on there, so I do need to add this speaker. Good thing I have an extra. Oh, right, this is a DS speaker. That's what it is. Forgot about that. In that case, I'm just gonna use my desoldering tool on that. And that came off immediately. And with that, soldering should be done. Now this can be placed back on there. Let's finally get it closed up. Before I put the final screws in, let's put some batteries in and just make sure this turns on. And I'm gonna test my Japanese Game Boy with my Japanese Yodobashi batteries. Do you see the problem here I didn't realize? Okay, come on back out. And this is why I'm glad I didn't screw everything in yet. There we go. That's the correct orientation. First, can it just turn on? Uh-oh. Are my Yodobashis not good anymore? No, they are. That's not good. Well, here's the Game Boy Color I've really modded and use all the time. Let's try these batteries. That's not a good sign. Let me get the AC adapter. Here we go, I got a Mad Catz adapter for a Game Boy Color. Just verify if it works on this one. Well, that's really not good. It appears something is broken on this Game Boy. So now this went from being a restoration to a repair. I wonder if it's a switch. I accidentally left my probe multimeters at a friend's house, so gonna have to improvise. I want to investigate on this one. Okay, when it's off, connect. No connect, no connect. And this is off. Now, when I go to turn it on, okay, nothing there. It might still be broken because when I do this, it should at least give something. Yeah, I think that's a broken power switch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna provide power to this and short the C and the 1 pin so it's on the power switch, basically bypassing the switch itself and doing that. Effectively, whenever the switch is on, it's supposed to do that. Now, if I take my 2 probes here and just tap on the diode, it lights up. So that's how we know it's on. So if that light comes on when I do this short, we know it's a bad power switch. Wait, the light just came on. I guess it just needed to be cleaned. Well, powered on. Let's put a game in there. Yep, it powers on. The display's not working though, so I just must not have the display in there properly. Oh yeah, those pins weren't being pushed down. We are back in business, baby. Okay, I know it doesn't look good on camera, but like in person, for how bad the Game Boy Color screen is, this one actually looks pretty good for it being just a stock Game Boy Color screen. case you're kind of wondering what the difference between a modded screen and a not modded screen kind of looks like, well, you can have trouble seeing here. This is what the non-modded screen looks like. This is what a modded screen looks like. So you can kind of see the appeal of getting one of these OLED screens. But I like having a modded one, I like having a stock one. So I'm pretty happy with the result of this. And you can also see the back of the cartridge too on there, and the batteries. That's fun. I could like turn them to say, the logo's upside down. Well, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the logo would be upside down on one of them because it's the other way, but yeah, you can see the batteries. And there's only one thing left I have to do. This one has a sticker, this one doesn't. I guess I could leave the sticker off so you could see it more, but I do have the original sticker. It's been like this for over 2 years. The adhesive's probably, we'll see if this works. Double-sided tape, go. Oh, goodness. You know, putting it on paper probably wasn't the best idea. I mean, sure, yeah, it doesn't look as good as this, but I kind of like it to look a little run down. And I think a lot of the yellow that is still in there is from the board yellowing inside. And I'm not about to go and like Retrobrite a PCB, that'd be weird. But I'm glad everything else is working. And this will look great in the collection. That's gonna be it for now though. So long, y'all.